Welcome to the FutureDDS Dental School Experience Series, where we help you decide which dental school is right for you. Every school offers a unique and different dental school experience, and who better to explain what that school has to offer than the student who goes there. Our goal through this series is to give you a firsthand perspective of every program across the U.S. and Puerto Rico, and ultimately help you make the right decision on which school would be best for you to spend 4 years. Today, we'll be showcasing Bianca Miguel, who is a first-year student at University of California, San Francisco School of Dentistry. How you doing today, Bianca?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing great. Well, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Having me.
Yep. So if you could, just tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, where you went to undergrad, as well as, what are some influences that, got you involved and interested in dentistry?
Sure. Hi, again, my name is Bianca Miguel. I'm currently a D1 at UCSF. I went to undergrad at UC Davis, and I reside in San Jose, which is basically just an hour from San Francisco. So I've been in California, but I was born in the Philippines, and I moved here when I was 9. I think the biggest impact for me about getting into dentistry started pretty early. I would hang out at my aunt's dental office a lot, and I just gawked at everything she did. She would do her dental work in heels. She would just talk to patients, and it just didn't feel like a job. And I just carried that on throughout my life until I got to college. And I think the fire I had for dentistry started when I went to Jamaica. I went on a mission trip the first year of my undergrad with 1,000 Smiles. And I think there I just found this love for the service that the dental career provides for people. And I'm excited to pursue it just from that experience.
Got you. So if you could, just give us a little bit more background and a little bit more information about UCSF, where it's located. Well, obviously San Francisco, but I guess where in Cali that's located for everyone who doesn't know. How is that city for you? Also, like a little bit of information about how, like, class size and kind of how it's comprised.
Okay, for sure. So UCSF is in San Francisco. It's kind of in a smaller neighborhood in San Francisco, so it feels like a bubble, but you're close enough to the big city itself to enjoy everything about it. The weather, it's a little bit chilly most of the year. So I think it's very rare that we get to wear shorts and everything here. If that's something you're looking for. The class size is 90, so it's big enough and small enough. And also the school campus is next to all the other UCSF schools. So we have a nursing campus and our med campus, and all our classes are in the same building. So we get to bump into people all the time. So it doesn't feel isolated or anything. And we're also next to a hospital. So it's just a very health environment, which is awesome. And our sim lab has a view of the whole city. So that's nice. If that's something you like, that's actually one of the things that hooked me when I first toured the school. What else? I think that's
Yeah, it's cool. Yes.
about the school.
Yeah. So I guess when you were looking into schools, actually applying to schools, what were some key factors that you were looking at when you were putting your list together, and then what were some things that ultimately made you choose UCSF?
I think when I started looking at all the schools, I realized that every school will make you a competent dentist. So the little things about the education wise, I wasn't paying attention to, just because I know that everyone's going to become a competent dentist.
Right.
And so I was looking mostly at location, and I was looking at kind of the vibe with the school, because you're going to put 4 years into your education, and it's going to be tough. And it's going to be rough wherever you go. Mm-hmm. So I think the whole culture of the school and how uplifted you feel when you go through like all these stressful times was super important to me. And those are basically the big factors I looked at. Of course, I still looked at things like clinical, but in the end, I was thinking, like, where would I want to be for 4 years and live there and could see myself. And SF, I don't know anyone who wouldn't want to live in SF in their 20s. I think it's a great city where you're next to the beach, you're like a few hours from the snow, you're in this beautiful place that people travel from everywhere to go to. And I think that I was close enough to UCSF that I got to go on a tour and I got to talk to a lot of people. A lot of people went to my school, my undergrad school, to talk to us. And I got the sense that it was very relaxed. It was very chill. Everyone I talked to was super outgoing, whether it was staff or student. It was so easy to talk to everyone. And it just hooked me in and it solidified it when I had the interview.
Got you. It's funny you bring up the interview. I want you to actually take a flashback to your interview day. How was that interview process for you? Could you just walk us through how that day was, start to finish?
Sure. So I actually think that UCSF was one of the most relaxed interviews I went to, and I went to quite a few. So when you get there, you go to a room with all of the other students. I think it's about 20, 25 people. You're in a room and you're going through just presentations just with general information about the school. The interview itself is not till later in the afternoon, which I think if you're interviewing there should be something you mentally prepare for, because I think by that point you're a little exhausted because you just sat through like 3 hours of things trying to be very proper, because I think the biggest piece of advice for interview day is that even though you're not at the actual interview, they're already interviewing you.
Right.
How back, you're not looking at your phone, you're being very polite and kind to everyone, just as you should be naturally. But I think everyone's just on edge, so you're trying to be extra nice. But when the interview came, it was the one with staff, and it was 30 minutes, and one with student. The staff one was very chill. It was very open-ended. They just kind of asked general questions about what extracurriculars you did. And I think one piece of advice for UCSF is to know your application, because it was closed app. So they didn't see our grades. So they asked a lot of questions about, oh, how many units did you take of science? How many units you took of this? And I kind of had to guess because I wasn't really sure. So know your application basically. And then the student one was comprised of the more general questions that you would expect from an interview. So tell me about yourself and why dentistry, which is great, I think, because I think those questions were the hardest, I think, for everyone. And to be able to do that with the student was a lot better, because I think it's easier to talk with a peer about those things. And the student part was in the sim lab. So in other rows, there were other interviews going on, which could be a little intimidating, but it was cool. It felt relaxed.
Got you. So, once you actually have your interview and you get accepted, you're excited to finally start there. How was the transition going into your first year? Going through orientation, actually getting your schedule, getting all of your first year tools and everything. You're excited. How was that initial transition?
I think everything was so exciting at first, and everything was so new, and we got all these tools. Like I remember getting all the dental stuff, and I was like, wow. And I didn't know any names, and I was just like, whoa, look at this. But as we started going and the stress kind of hit, I think you really just gotta take it by the horns and go for it. I think for everyone, it was stressful. The transition is not going to be smooth. It wasn't smooth at all, because I think nothing could prepare you for the amount that they give you. I think the best description is like trying to drink water out of a fire hose. I think that's what everyone always says dental school is. And I completely feel that. But I think making sure that every week you have a time for yourself and you have time to socialize. And like if you, in my case, you're in San Francisco, go explore. Like an hour won't kill you, and it might be better actually if you just pay attention to your health versus just doing school the whole time, because you're gonna burn out easily, just like me and the rest of my class. You burn out so easily because you have no idea how much work you're supposed to put in, and you don't know how to do it better, because I think undergrad is great, but it doesn't prepare you for grad school the amount that they give you or anything. So I think as long as you pay attention to your mental health, and breathe and make sure that you have a good set of friends around you, then you can honestly tackle anything here.
Got you, got you. So, you spoke about a little bit about your mental health and just trying to get away. What does UCSF, if anything, like, do they have any systems, whether it's how the classes are set up, maybe after a test block, having an event for the students or through the organization or anything? Do they do a pretty good job of helping with mental health and maintaining a work-life balance, you would say?
Yeah, I think they do. I think because it's part of a bigger school where they have all different type of schools like med and nursing and farm, they try to really hone in on having workshops for mindfulness, having
Okay.
mixers, or I think a big thing for dental is that we have independent study time. So 2 days of the week, we actually get out at noon and you could
Wow.
do whatever you want with your time. You could go participate. That could be the time you participate in extracurriculars if that's what you want. You could go do laundry if you want. You could do catch up on studies, and I think that in itself is great. I think the fact that the school gave us that is awesome because I don't know how I would survive without that.
Man.
Yeah, yeah. I think they're pretty good at making sure that everyone's okay.
Cool. So you say some days they give you what you say, personal time with personal study time?
Independent study time, but they basically just let us out early.
Got you. So how does a typical day at, for a first year look? How does it look going through like a week? Like are those like Tuesday and Thursdays you get those individual times? And I guess if you could just walk us through like a regular, a standard week as a first year.
Yeah, so it changes every quarter. So we have ISO first year on Mondays and Wednesdays, but the days of the classes shift. But usually it's that, and then next year it'll change. I think to like Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
I'm excited for Tuesday and Thursday because I feel like we had the whole weekend, and then Monday is when we get it. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we're in school for like 2 hours, and then it's like an extended weekend. Other than that, we have 2 days in SimLab. One is for operative and the other is for crown and bridge. And that's this quarter. Last quarter, one of our days was morphology. And then the rest of the days is basically didactics. We have rotations on Fridays, and one of the rotations is for radiology. Another one is for clinic, where we get to work on our patient-centered skills. And as I said, the rest is didactic. So last quarter, we would spend 10 hours in anatomy, half class, half in the lab. This quarter, it's a little less intensive, but a lot more lectures. So it's a lot more to study from microbio. And then next quarter, it's going to be physiology on top of just random little classes that we have once a week. So we have like dental sciences. We have SciMath, which is scientific methods. Because we're a big research school. So I think that's something that they focus on. And yeah, it kind of varies quarter per quarter.
Got you. So, I guess anyone applying to school right now, what would you suggest that they start focusing on so that once they actually get there, they would be successful? And, what are some things that will help them put them into a good position to get in?
Right. So I think the biggest thing is, like everyone says, focus on your grades, focus on kind of challenging yourself. I wish I challenged myself more in undergrad because I think I played the game where I was like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of an easier load so that I could get really good grades.
Right.
And I played that game, and I think that it's a little more challenging for me here because of that. So I think I would challenge myself because you need to be able to put up with 22 units. And yeah, I think another piece of advice is to not spread yourself too thin on extracurriculars. I think focusing on one or two and really putting your entire, like all your effort on that, I think is more unique and special rather than spreading yourself thin, because during interviews, when they ask you questions, you want to be able to really delve into the extracurriculars that you did and not just make it feel like surface things. And I think that's the thing that will really make you stand out and make interviews a lot easier for you.
Got you. For the most part, a lot of us want to go into, being a dental clinician instead of going into research. I actually want to be more hands-on as a provider. How do you feel like, or I guess, what is the transition going into clinic? You say you guys start doing rotations first year, but if maybe you don't know exactly right now because you're still first year, but from what you've seen or from what you've heard, how is the transition actually getting into clinic?
I think it's definitely the transition is hard.
Okay.
It's definitely hard because we do only have the patient centered a few times per quarter,
Okay.
and most of our work is on our simulator, on our typodont.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that we have the support from the school, and seems like after the first quarter that people start clinic, they feel like they have transitioned into.
Gotcha.
I think it's just that first jump.
And when do you kind of start going in? That's, I guess, like you said, first year you do rotations, then do you start getting into clinic more second year, and then third year and fourth year, or?
Yeah, so second year they actually go into clinic every Friday, and during that time they do things like the nitrous oxide training and all those type of things. And the clinics that we have for those are actually the same setup as the clinics that we go into third and
Mhm.
fourth year, so it'll be nice for that aspect. But we actually lose our summer second year because that's when we start with patient care.
Mhm.
So they're starting in just a couple months.
Wow.
So we going straight from simulation to real patient.
Real patient. Yeah. Okay, so no, we're gonna wrap up here. We don't want to take too much of your time, like I said before. But if you could, what are some very unique things? And this, you could have mentioned it already, but what are some very unique and major advantages that you see at your school that have made your experience there unique?
Yeah, I think there's so many great things. I always feel so grateful that I made this decision for myself because I haven't regretted it ever since. I think a big thing is that our school is pass no pass, and this really lifts so much of the pressure on everyone because after classes, we're just like, did you get that pass? Did you get that pass? Did you get that, oh, did you get that A? Like it doesn't. Everyone just wants everyone to succeed. Everyone just wants everyone to pass, so it doesn't feel competitive. And I think in an environment where it's so stressful, more competition like that, I think wouldn't be good, or I think it would just put more stress. So definitely the pass no pass is great. And I know a lot of schools have that. Another really, really unique thing to our school, I think, is the holistic choosing process that they use, because I do see it in my class. Every single individual is so great in their own way and they have their own strengths, and everyone is such a different type of person. And if they're really great at one thing, somebody else is really great at another thing. And I think it's really awesome to go through the school year knowing that I'm surrounded by such inspiring people who are also different in their own way. And I think UCSF does a great job with that. And I know that that's also what they pride themselves in choosing people. And I could see that. So having that support system with me is awesome. And that's also the reason why I chose this school, was the vibe of the people. Everyone's just super outgoing and cool. And that's definitely how you want to live in the 4 years.
All right, cool. So, last question. It's not even really a question, but if you could, offer any last great words or gems of advice to anybody, not necessarily interested in UCSF, but anyone that's interested in dentistry, applying to dental school, obviously trying to get to the point that you're at right now.
Yeah, I think definitely focus on school. Get those grades. Your extracurriculars, only do it if you really have time for it. Another thing is to enjoy the process. I think everyone gets so caught up in seeing the finish line that they forget that the process is happening, and it's all fun too in that process. And I think one other thing is to go ahead and try to do as many of those um, simulation workshops that they hold at dental schools, where they let you hold the drill, just so you get a sense of that. And I think it actually helps with keeping your excitement for the field. So I would do a lot of that, and anything that works your hands, because I think the hand skills was also a big jump. And If I wish I did more things like, I don't know, ceramics, sculpture, something to just be more mindful of my hands. I think that would help anyone in this.
Definitely, totally agree. Totally agree. So, like I said, we're gonna wrap up here, Bianca. But thank you again for taking some time out. And if you wouldn't mind, for anybody has any questions for you about your journey or about UCSF, could you, give them, I guess, your Instagram so that they can get in touch with you directly?
Sure. So my Instagram is bmigs. It's BEEMIGS. And go ahead and message me. I'll check my message requests if you guys have any questions. And I'll be
Gotcha.
happy to help.
Awesome, awesome. Well, on behalf of FutureDDS, all of our subscribers and our viewers, I just want to thank you again for taking time out of your schedule. I know it's spring break time, so please do go enjoy.
Of course. Thank you for having me again.
Yo, thank you for the great insight and best of luck to you for the rest of the year and heading forward, through the rest of your 4 years.
You too. Thank
Awesome, awesome.
you.
Thank you. And for all the viewers, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, the subscribe button, and notification bell so you can stay tuned and get notified whenever we put up new content. We're doing all 66 schools in the U.S. and Puerto Rico. So hopefully this information is beneficial to you, to help you making the right decision on which dental school is going to be good for you for the next 4 years. All right, that's going to be it. Thanks again, Bianca. See you later.
Yeah.